ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبد الله ورسوله ارسله ربه بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله فبلغ الرساله وادى الامانه ونصح للامه وجاهد في سبيله حتى اتاه اليقين. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا وإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. I bear witness that there is none worthy of our worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the seal of the prophets and the final messenger to all of humanity. Whomever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, there is none to misguide, and whomever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leads to stray, there is none to guide. أما بعد فما زلنا في حديثنا عن بداية العام الهجري الجديد، واليوم إن شاء الله نتكلم عن فضيلة عظيمة في الإسلام اسمها فضيلة الاعتذار أو أدب أو فن الاعتذار. تكلمنا عنه منذ عدة أيام باختصار، واليوم إن شاء الله نكمل الحديث. فمن الأدب العالي في الإسلام والفضل السامي في الإسلام أن الإنسان يعتذر عند التقصير أو عند الخطأ، والاعتذار لا يأتي إلا بخير، وهو دليل على سمو الإنسان وعلى كرامته وعلى شرفه. فالاعتذار ليس دليلا على الضعف، ولكن هو دليل على القوة وعلى التواضع. تمام؟ والإنسان إذا إنسان اعتذر إليه عليه أن يقبل العذر، وكذلك قلنا الاعتذار لا يأتي إلا بخير. So as we begin a new Hijri year, we started a few weeks ago to speak about the concept or the spirit of humanity and the concept of kindness and open-mindedness and being kind to people and forgiving them and so on and so forth, and caring about people's feelings. So today, inshallah, we'll continue in this direction, and we'll talk about what I call the power of sorry. The power of sorry. The power of apologizing. All of us make mistakes. We make mistakes by day and night, every single one of us. And the Prophet ﷺ says that كل ابن آدم خطاء. All of humans make mistakes, but the best among them are those who repent, those who mend their ways. We read in the Quran and also in the Siyar that even prophets apologize. Even prophets. يعني حتى you read in the Quran in the story of Adam alayhi salam, he ate from the tree, he and his wife, they apologized to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. He said, Ya Allah, we apologize for what we did, eating from the tree. And if you don't forgive us, we'll be among the losers. So they apologized to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they repented, and they asked for His forgiveness. You also read in the story of Nuh alayhi salam, قال رب إني أعوذ بك أن أسألك ما ليس لي به علم وإلا تغفر لي وترحمني أكن من الخاسرين. When he tried to appeal for his son who was kafir, a disbeliever, and his son drowned just like everybody else. So he tried to appeal on his behalf to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, you're not supposed to do this. So he apologized. And he said, Ya Allah, if you don't accept my apologies, I'll be among the losers. You read in the story of Musa alayhi salam in the Quran, when he killed the Egyptian man by mistake, he said, قال رب إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. He said, Ya Allah, I made a mistake, so please forgive me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him. You read in the story of Yunus, when he left, he stormed off from his town without permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah didn't give him permission to leave, so he left anyway. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know the rest of the story, he ended up in the belly of the whale. So he said, وَذَنُّونِ إِذْ ذَهَبَ مُغَاضِبًا فَظَنَّ أَن لَّن نَّقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ فَنَادَىٰ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ أَن لَّا إِلَٰهَ إِلَّا أَنتَ so forgive me. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him. Even the Prophet ﷺ apologized. You read in the Kutub al-Siyar that before the Battle of Badr, there was a Sahabi, his name was Sawad. And the Prophet ﷺ was lining up the people to get them ready for the fight with the people of Mecca who were, attacking Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ was lining up the people, and the Prophet ﷺ passed by Sawad in the line, the Sahabi, the companion, and the Prophet ﷺ said, Istawi ya Sawad, stand in the line. Stand in the line. The Prophet ﷺ came back and he was not in the line. So the Prophet ﷺ pushed him with a stick in his belly. So Sawad said, Ya Rasulullah, you hurt me. So the Prophet ﷺ, who was the commander of the Muslim army, he was the prophet and he was the president of the community, the leader of the Muslim community. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, okay? That was at the beginning of Islam, yes, in Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ said, what do you want? He said, I want to retaliate. So the Prophet ﷺ said, okay, sorry, I hurt you. Come and retaliate, take revenge. So he said, but my stomach was not covered when you pushed me. But you have clothes on. He didn't have a shirt. Sawad. So the Prophet ﷺ said, what do you want? He said, you take off your shirt. So the Prophet ﷺ took off his shirt, and Sawad came closer, and the Sahaba were standing there. He's about to hit the Prophet. And Sawad hugged the Prophet ﷺ and he started to kiss his belly. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't want to retaliate. I just wanted to touch your skin because this will give me barakah before the battlefield. So this is an example. There are so many examples in the Quran, there's no need to get into the details. So all these great figures, all these prophets, Adam alayhi salam, and Moses, and Noah, and all these great prophets, and Jonah, and the Prophet, they apologized. Yeah, I shouldn't have done this. Sorry. No, there's no problem. We should do the same thing, because sometimes the ego comes in. How can I apologize? Yeah, maybe I made a mistake, but I'm not going to apologize. And some people don't even recognize the fact that they made a mistake. Right? They did something wrong. No, I didn't do it. I didn't make a mistake. Right? It's not me. I'm not going to apologize. Something like this. The reason is, a lot of people perceive this as a sign of weakness. If you apologize, they take it as a sign of weakness. Wallah, it is not a sign of weakness. And as I said, all these great figures, the prophets, they apologize. So there's nothing wrong with saying sorry. I call it the power of sorry. So if you say sorry, it is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of courage. It's a sign of integrity. It's a sign of humility. And it's a sign of fairness, that you are a fair person. So if you look at yourself and what you have done in the past, and this is something that you need to start a new year with. First of all, you need to apologize, because there is a lot of apologizing you need to do. You need to apologize to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for falling short, for not doing your best, for doing things with the wrong intentions, for doing the haram things that we do by day and night. So you need to apologize to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we call this tawbah, right? Not doing your best and not doing enough. We know the hadith, it's an authentic hadith, and I love this hadith. It says that in the heavens, there is not a spot for 1 inch or 2, except there are angels everywhere in the heavens. And from the day they were created, we're talking about maybe millions or billions of years ago, till the day of judgment, their whole lives, they are either making sajda to Allah, they are praying, they are kneeling down, and when the day of judgment begins, they will apologize to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they will say, Subhanaka ma abadnaka haqqa ibadatik. So their whole lives, billions and billions of years, they are praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshipping Him. And when the day of judgment begins, they will say, Ya Allah, we apologize because we have not worshipped and glorified you enough. So you need to give an apology to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to ask Him for forgiveness. Number 2, you need to apologize to yourself for not taking care of yourself. Sometimes you overwork. Sometimes you do things you're not supposed to do and you harm yourself. There's no need to give any examples, but you know yourself better than other people. There are so many things we can say. Smoking, and there are different things. Some people can live for years without even brushing their teeth, right? And so they are damaging themselves So there are so many examples, but you think about your situation and you see where I'm doing wrong or where I'm not doing enough to take care of myself, spiritually, physically, and so on and so forth. Husbands need to apologize to their wives sometimes, right? Because sometimes you come late. The lady stood in the kitchen for hours to cook for you biryani, whatever, good food. Then you always come late, and the food is cold, and they are waiting, everybody is hungry. So apologize, say sorry, I was coming on time as I normally do, and this brother came up and he said, can I tell you a joke? No, I'm in a hurry, and this happens to me all the time. I'm late to go home, and somebody comes, I think they have a question. So they have a question, yeah. Can I tell you a joke? No, go straight to the question. Yeah, I'll tell you the question, but can I tell you a joke? The story, and have been asked, give me the short version of the story. What happened? How can I help? They would say, you know what? Before I was born, I said, give me the short version, not when your dad and mom met. No, tell me the problem. Where is the problem? So you always come late. Things come up and things happen. So you need to apologize. Wives also need to apologize to their husbands sometimes. I'm not going to talk about all the burnt food and all the burnt clothes when they iron and all these things. Always look at the good side. A burnt food, sometimes it gives it that flavor. Have you heard of the smoked food? Something like, it tastes like barbecue, so it's a good thing. And if the food is not cooked enough, it is undercooked or it's not cooked enough, maybe it's healthier for you. So you always think of the good side. We need to do a lot of apologizing. Children need to apologize to their parents for talking back, for raising their voice, for not behaving well in the house or outside. There's a lot of apologizing to do. Parents also need to apologize to their children. Sometimes they make promises and they are not up to the promise. They don't keep their words. They promise to take them out sometime and something happens. They couldn't make it. They promised to buy them stuff they couldn't afford. So things happen. You need to always apologize to your friends, to your colleagues, and so on and so forth. And believe me, wallahi, a lot of good things come out. At least people will have respect for you. That you have the courage, you have the power, you have the will to stand up and say, yes, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, and I'm going to fix the mistake. I'm going to clean the mess. So many things come out of, some good things also come from apologies. Now, there are so many examples. And I mentioned this example a few days ago. We were in Toronto about 2 weeks ago. So it was an event, a charity event, and there were over 500 people, so the hall was packed. So we made a mistake. Me and Brother Azadeen went together, so we sat on the wrong spot. We were supposed to go to table 32, so we ended up, or actually table 23, we ended up on table 32. So the guy who was sitting with us was an excellent person. He was sitting there, he didn't say anything, although he bought all the seats. So eventually, it seemed, or this is what we found out, at the end, 2 people were late, and when they came, so this man came to us. He was a businessman, Muslim businessman. He came to us and he said, I'm sorry, but I bought all the seats, and now 2 people were late. Now they are here, would you please move somewhere else? He was a very nice person. We looked at the ticket, we actually made a mistake. We're on the wrong spot. So I apologize. We moved to the other table after we exchanged business cards. So we started to speak after we came back. So I told him about the pamphlet project we did in the Niagara region, and I told him only Grimsby is left. So we need to send this pamphlet to 5,000 homes. So he said, you know what, I'm going to sponsor these 5,000 pamphlets. So he's going to send me $1,500, and we're going to, inshallah, send that to Grimsby. So all the homes in the Niagara region now are covered with the pamphlet. It's a good thing. You also read this story. I'm not sure if it's authentic or not, but there's no reason to think otherwise, of a man who was passing by the garden and he was hungry. He ate the apple, and eventually he decided to go to the owner and apologize. Eventually he got married to his daughter because the owner realized that this is a good man. At the end of this story, you know that after they got married, the lady gave birth to a man, and this man is known in Islamic history as Imam Abu Hanifa. So these stories are So what do you need to do? As I said, you need to apologize. So what if someone comes to you to apologize? You need to accept their apology. I know you are hurt. I know maybe you cannot forgive, you cannot forget. We're human beings, we have feelings. But if you forgive them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the reward. We read in the Sunnah that a lot of people, they hurt the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They hurt him. And eventually when they came in and they apologized, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forgave them. You know about the people of Mecca, they drove him out, they persecuted his Sahaba, and they killed some of them. They tried even to kill him. But when he came back eventually, he forgave all of them when they apologized. He didn't hurt them. You read in the hadith when the man, the Bedouin, urinated in the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ was there and the man stood to the side and he urinated inside the mosque. But eventually the Prophet ﷺ forgave him. He didn't say anything. He just corrected him in a very nice way. The last thing I want to say, inshallah, before I wrap up is always give people the benefit of doubt. If they don't come forward and apologize, give them the benefit of doubt. Maybe there's a misunderstanding. Maybe there's something going on that I don't know of. So I forgive them without even them coming and apologizing. Because you don't know. You don't always believe everything your eyes see. Maybe there's something that you don't know about. There is this story. It's a true story. A new brother who came to the city, not here. So he went to the masjid with his car and he was parking in the parking lot and there was this loud music, like, you know, rap music, jumping and all these things in the cassette. It was very loud. So the people in the parking lot, they started to look at this guy. MashaAllah, he had the beard and the thobe and the miswak and the MashaAllah, Kabir Punjab, but Michael Jackson playing in your car and all the music and all this. What is this? What is going on? Eventually they realized that this brother is deaf and he borrowed his brother's car. So this is not his car. Or there is also this true story. There was a man, he's like in his 50s, he was with his son in the bus coming from, say, Toronto going to Niagara Falls. And the man was sitting in front of his son, and there were people sitting next to them. Some of them were trying to read books or play with their computers, iPads and stuff. And they were looking outside the window, and the son was saying, "Look, Dad, yeah, this is a train right there." He said, "Yeah, it is a train." Then he said, "Look, Dad, there is a bird right there." "Yeah, son, yeah, this is a bird, it's true." "Look, Dad, Tim Hortons is there." "Yes, son, this is Tim Hortons." "Yeah, this is good, alhamdulillah." So the people started to look at him. What is this? He's 20-something years old and he doesn't know if this is a train or if this is a bird or this is whatever. Eventually they realized that this son was blind and he had a surgery and today is his first day to be able to see. So he looks around and he sees things. Yeah, this is a train, this is a bird, this is a car. This is his first time to see things around. So when you know the reality of things and you give people the benefit of doubt, you'll be able to forgive them. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الحمد لله رب العالمين واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات ورحمه العالمين. Inshallah, just before we finish, a small reminder of the day of Ashura. It's a blessed day. It's coming up this Monday, and the Prophet ﷺ fasted on that day. It is reported in Sahih Muslim and other books of Hadith that when the Prophet ﷺ immigrated from Mecca to Medina, he found out that the Jews in the city, they were fasting on that day. So he asked the Jews, "Why are you fasting on this day?" They say this is a blessed day. This is the day when Allah saved Moses and the children of Israel from the Pharaoh and his tyrant people, tyrannical people. So the Prophet ﷺ fasted on that day and he ordered Muslims to fast. So from that day on, for 1500 years, Muslims have been fasting, following the example of the Prophet ﷺ to commemorate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa alayhi salam and his people from the Pharaoh. It is recommended to fast the day before. So Monday is the day, it's the 10th. If you can't fast the Sunday and Monday, it's good. If you can't fast Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it's good. The minimum is Monday. And the Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith that fasting on that day forgives the minor sins that have been committed in the past year. So this is a good time to fast and to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His favors. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعلمنا ما ينفعنا وينفعنا بما علمنا. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا. Inshallah, on Monday we'll have a breakfast here in the masjid. If someone wants to join us, so it's going to be a potluck, so everyone is welcome to contribute. وختاما نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش الكريم أن يغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا. اللهم أصلح أحوالنا وأحسن خاتمتنا. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا مظلوما إلا نصرته، ولا ظالما إلا قصمته، ولا ميتا إلا رحمته، ولا شاة ولا شاة من المسلمين إلا بالحلال زوجته، ولا محروم من الأطفال إلا بالأطفال رزقته. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins and accept our good deeds, to give us the best in this life and the best in the life to come. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us sincerity in everything we say and do. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us anything we have done by ignorance or mistake or forgetfulness. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of our good deeds and to reward us fully for them according to the best of our intentions. And finally, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower His mercy and His rahmah and grace on those who built this masjid and those who maintain it and take care of it. And so, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.